Chosen one. This is who you will soon become. Even you won't recognize yourself. Stop what you're doing right now. I mean it. Just stop. Because what I'm about to tell you in the next few minutes is going to land differently than most things you've heard. And some part of you already knows it. That's why you're here. That's why you clicked. Something pulled you to this video, not an algorithm, not a random scroll. Something in you recognized a signal meant for you. And here's what I want to say to you in the first breath of this video. You are not the same person you were a year ago. And a year from now, you won't be the same person you are today. But what's coming next, what you're about to step into, that's not just growth. That's a complete transformation. The kind people write about. The kind that makes your own mother look at you and say, "Who are you?" So let's talk about it. I want to start with a question. Think about the version of you from 5 years ago. The way you talked, the things you worried about, the people you called your closest friends, the dreams you thought were realistic. Can you even remember that person clearly? Now think about how much you've changed, not just in your circumstances, but in your soul. The way you see people, the way you react to silence, the things that no longer bother you that used to keep you awake at 3 a.m. You changed, quietly, without even meaning to. And here's what nobody tells you. The biggest transformations in a person's life don't happen loudly. They don't announce themselves. They start small, like a crack forming in a wall that looks perfectly fine from the outside. And then one day, the wall crumbles, and behind it is someone completely new. That's what's happening to you right now, whether you see it or not. Let me tell you about a woman named Sarah. Sarah worked a job she didn't love, in a city she'd ended up in by accident, with a life that felt like it belonged to someone else. She wasn't miserable, which was almost worse, because miserable people are motivated to change. Sarah was just fine. And fine is the most dangerous place to be. She had this habit of journaling, not regularly, just when things got heavy. And one night she pulled out an old journal from about 4 years earlier and started reading. She read for 3 hours. By the end of it, she was crying. Not because things had gone badly, because she realized she didn't recognize herself on those pages. The fears from 4 years ago, gone. The insecurities that had consumed her, dissolved. The things she desperately wanted that she was scared to say out loud, most of them had somehow come true, quietly, without her even noticing she was achieving them. She called me the next morning and said something I haven't forgotten. "I think I've been transforming the whole time and never gave myself credit for it." Maybe that's you right now. You're in the middle of something you don't have a name for yet. Here's what I know about the people who go through the deepest transformations in life. They share certain things, not privileges, not luck, certain internal conditions. And I want to walk through them with you, because I think if you're watching this video, you're probably living inside several of them right now. The first one is this. They get tired of performing. There's a version of yourself you've been presenting to the world, maybe for years. The version that says, "I'm fine," when you're not. The version that laughs off your dreams in social situations to avoid being seen as weird or naive. The version that shrinks itself in rooms where it doesn't feel welcome. The version that has learned, sometimes painfully, what is acceptable and what is not. And at some point, you stop being able to do it. Not dramatically, not with some big announcement. You just get tired. Tired of filtering yourself. Tired of conversations that feel hollow. Tired of spending energy managing other people's comfort at the expense of your own truth. That tiredness, that's not weakness. That's your soul refusing to stay in a box that was never meant to hold it. The chosen ones, and I want to be careful with that phrase because I don't mean it in some mystical, you're special and everyone else isn't way. I mean the people who are truly chosen by their own evolution, by the path they were put on. Those people reach a point where the performance becomes unbearable. And from that unbearable feeling comes the most authentic version of them they've ever been. The second thing I notice about people in the middle of a real transformation is this. They start losing people, and it terrifies them. I want to sit with this for a second because I think it might be the most painful part of the whole process. When you start to change, when your values shift, when your standards shift, when the things you're willing to tolerate start to narrow, some people in your life are going to get uncomfortable. Not because they're bad people, not because they don't love you, but because your growth is a mirror. And some people aren't ready to look at what it reflects back at them. So they pull away, or you pull away, or conversations start to feel strained where they used to feel easy. And you think, am I doing something wrong? Is this change actually bad? Here's what I want to say to you. The people who belong to the next version of you will find you. But you have to be willing to become that next version first. Even if it means sitting in the uncomfortable space between who you were and who you're becoming. That in-between space where you've let go of the old, but haven't fully arrived at the new. That space is lonely. It is. I'm not going to dress it up. But it's also where you find out who you actually are when nobody's watching, when no one's validating you, when you have to hold yourself up with your own two hands. That's where the real you gets built. I want to ask you something personal, and I want you to actually think about it. When was the last time you did something that the version of you from 2 years ago would not have done? Not because you broke a rule, but because you've grown past an old fear. You said something true in a room where it would have been easier to stay quiet. You walked away from something that looked good on paper but felt wrong in your gut. You asked for what you needed instead of pretending you didn't need it. Those moments, those small, quiet, barely visible moments, that's the transformation happening in real time. Most people don't see their own evolution because they're looking for a dramatic before and after. They want the movie version, one big event, one breakthrough, one lightning bolt. But real transformation doesn't work like that. It's more like erosion. The river doesn't move the rock all at once. It works on it, slowly, persistently, until one day the rock is somewhere completely different from where it started. You are the river, and you are also the rock. Now I want to talk about something that a lot of people in these videos skip over, and I think it's a mistake to skip it. I want to talk about the difficulty, because here's the thing about becoming who you're meant to be. It doesn't just feel good. A lot of it feels like losing. A lot of it feels like confusion, like you're making decisions that you can't fully explain to anyone else, like you're trusting something you can't prove is real. There's a particular kind of night I think many of you have experienced. It's maybe 2 or 3 in the morning. The house is quiet. And your mind starts doing this thing where it replays everything. Every choice you've made, every relationship you've let go of, every risk you've taken. And it asks you, what are you doing? Are you sure about this? What if you're wrong? That voice is not wisdom. That voice is fear dressed up in very reasonable clothes. And I want to give you something you can hold on to for those nights. The fact that you're asking the question at all is proof that you're growing. People who are not growing don't lie awake questioning themselves. They're not aware enough to. The awareness, the doubt, the restlessness, it means you're alive in a way that matters. Don't let the fear of getting it wrong talk you out of becoming who you actually are. Let me tell you about a man named David. He grew up in a family that had a very specific picture of what a successful life looked like. Specific job, specific type of partner, specific amount of money, specific way of spending Sunday afternoons. And David, smart, hardworking, deeply loyal, built exactly that life, piece by piece. By his mid-30s, he had everything the picture said he should want, and he felt nothing. Not depressed, not ungrateful. He'd sit at his kitchen table in the morning with his coffee and look out the window and feel this dull, gnawing absence, like something essential was just not there. He didn't blow his life up. He didn't have an affair or run away to a mountain or quit everything dramatically. He did something much quieter and much harder. He started asking himself honest questions. What do I actually love? What would I do if no one was watching? What matters to me, not to the picture? And slowly, almost painfully slowly, he started making small changes. Not upheaval, just adjustments toward truth. 5 years later, he told me, I still live in the same house. I still have the same people in my life, mostly. But I'm a completely different person inside of it, and somehow the life fits now. That's what the transformation looks like for most people. Not a reinvention, a reclamation. You're not becoming someone new. You're becoming the version of yourself that was always there, underneath the years of noise and expectation and fear. And if you're watching this and you're wondering, okay, but how do I actually move through this? What do I actually do? I want to give you something real. Not a 5-step plan, not a checklist. Just 3 truths that have held up for me and for everyone I know who has gone through a real transformation. The first truth, you have to stop outsourcing your inner life. What I mean is this. Most of us have been trained to look outward for answers. We ask other people what we should do. We read what everyone says we should want. We take quizzes and follow advice and consume content. This content, ironically, looking for someone to tell us who we are. But no one can do that. Not me, not anyone. The answers to the biggest questions of your life live inside you, and the only way to access them is to get quiet enough to hear them. Not meditate perfectly, not journal in the right way. Just stop running from the silence long enough to let it speak. Most people are terrified of silence, because in silence, you can't avoid yourself. But you're going to stop running, because you're in a transformation now, and transformations require you to look directly at things. The second truth, the timing will never feel right. There will always be a reason to wait, a more stable moment, a better financial situation, when the kids are older, when things settle down, when you feel ready. Ready is a myth. Nobody who ever did anything that mattered felt ready first. They felt scared, and they did it anyway. The readiness came after, built from the doing, not the waiting. Whatever you're waiting to start, whatever you're waiting to say, whatever version of yourself you're waiting for permission to become, that permission doesn't come from the outside. It comes from one decision, the decision to begin. The third truth, the most important relationship you will ever have is the one with the person you're becoming. Not the person you were, not the person other people want you to be. The person you're in the process of becoming. That person deserves your trust, your patience, your investment. Every time you choose that person over the comfortable old patterns, you're building something. And it compounds, quietly, invisibly, until the day someone who's known you for years looks at you and says, "Something's different about you. I don't know what it is." And you'll smile because you'll know exactly what it is. I want to come back to something I said at the very beginning, that you're not here by accident. I've thought about this a lot. The way certain ideas find people at exactly the right moment. The way a book arrives in your life 6 months after it would have been meaningless. The way a conversation changes your direction when you were about to make a decision that wasn't yours. Something is working in you. Something has been working in you, maybe for a long time. And you're not supposed to fully understand it yet. You're just supposed to keep walking. Not faster, not more perfectly, Just keep walking, because here's what I know about where you're going. It's going to surprise you. The version of yourself you're walking toward is better than anything you could design from where you're standing now. You can't see it clearly from here. You're not supposed to be able to. That's what makes it a transformation and not just a plan. Before I close this, I want to say something to the person watching this who's exhausted. The one who's been doing the internal work for a long time and hasn't seen it show up in their external life yet. Who's been patient and honest and trying, and is starting to wonder if any of it is real, if any of it matters, if maybe they're just talking themselves into something that isn't actually happening. I see you. I want you to hear this. The invisible work is the most important work. The changes that happen inside you before they happen around you, those are the foundation. And foundations take time. You don't see the foundation of a building when it's complete, but every single floor above ground rests on what was built below it.